Good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone who's tuned in for our first 4 virtual signings of the weekend. Dangerous Doug Gilbert, Dirty White Boy, of course, Goldilocks from TNA, and someone that's very close to this man, Kerry Morton. We are here for our finale of the weekend, and it's with the current NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion, current NWA US Tag Team Champ, member of the Southern Six, fresh off the international trip, and he's here for you, ladies and gentlemen, here at Captain's Corner Happy Hour. Alex Taylor, I want to thank you for joining us today.
That's right, baby. You say too hot to trot for the main event.
There it is. Like and share it out. And by the way, I don't know if you caught that post a few minutes ago. We found out about some goodies that Alex brought with us. We're going to tell everyone about them shortly. And he may be teasing it right there. A little ring-used gear action. How did you get started in this wild and wacky trip of professional wrestling?
Well, there was one day I was going to college, and I realized that I was failing college. They want you to go to class and not just drink beer and not go to class. So I moved home and got a nice factory job, and I said, this sucks. I'm going to go become a professional wrestler like I always wanted to. So I packed up my 97 Isuzu Rodeo and drove to Iowa and trained with Seth Rollins.
So Iowa, how far were you from Iowa?
It was an 8-hour drive. So whatever mileage that equals out to. Yeah, it was quite an adventure.
Now, growing up, who were you a fan of that made you want to eventually become a wrestler?
Oh man, all the obvious answers: Shawn Michaels, Eddie Guerrero, Benoit. There's a handful of guys. It's hard to just pick. Those were the 3 that stand out in my head, I guess.
Tell us about the training process. Was there anyone else in your camp that you wound up kind of buddying up with and learning the ropes with, or was you the most, I guess, standout at the time?
Looking back, there's a couple guys that I still speak to a little bit to this day, but I think for my class, I'm the only one that's still in wrestling.
What year was your class?
It's 2015. We were the second class they did, and I think. Yeah, everyone from the first class is out of the business too, so I think I'm the longest tenured graduate of the Black and Gray Wrestling Academy.
Really?
I don't know what that gains me in life, but...
Well, that is something. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Can you talk about that gear, maybe the idea behind the gear, where you came up with the design of it, and then maybe a memory or two of it, because you're going to be able to claim it right now in the next hour or so, guys.
Well, the idea was basically... I love I'm a huge Tennessee Titans fan. Don't make fun of me. It's hard. But everyone loves those Oilers throwbacks, so just stole those colors, and that was the basis of it. And the tassels. You got the tassels for Big Daddy Cool Decent. One of the greatest.
Oh, nice. So there it is. It's pretty simple. Can you show everyone once again? Now, we didn't know this is our number 2 option right here. So what we're going to do, if anyone claims this, that's right, like and share it out, guys. If anyone claims this, we're going to throw in, that's right, a signed, personalized 8x10 of Alex wearing these after a title defense right there. What you remember what match this might have been from, Alex?
I believe this was in Dallas. I wrestled Spencer Slade. I forget the name of the event, but it was an NWA event. I can see my armband here. This is right after Jax passed away. So that's why I'm wearing that armband. Yeah. Now we get sad.
Rest of these Jax.
Yes, this was last December.
Now, can you talk about those early days being on the road? Now, when you were based out of Iowa, were trips long going from wherever you were leaving?
Well, see, I just trained, and when I finished training, I came back home.
Okay.
Around here in Nashville. Hooked up with some local indie guys, and honestly doing some shit shows.
Okay, shindies?
Yeah, oh yeah. Ended up working for Bert Prentice.
Okay.
And a lot of horror stories there. But the greatest man I know, Danny Deals, discovered me in Gladeville, Tennessee, and he said, "Hey, he didn't say these words, but I saw, hey, you're too good for this. Come with me." I ended up meeting Crimson, getting on his shows in Clarksville, TNT. the best shows around. I wish they were still here. Crimson come out of hiding. What are you doing?
Where's Crimson up to these days?
Oh, he's a man of mystery, brother.
Oh, really? Okay.
But yeah, everything just kind of snowballed from there. Meeting people, I met this guy, Crazy Steve. Turned out to be a pretty decent guy. Well, we've had some rough times. So I can get into some stories about this place called O'Connor's, but I don't want to do that.
Uh-oh. Any place called O'Connor's, you know there's some drinking involved.
Maybe, man. No, man, yeah, just it's hard to even realize the pinpoint where it started, but it all just snowballs. And the people you meet, friends you make, you end up different places. And
Now we jump past it. I'm going to have you in a second. Think of a cool Bert Prentice story that's acceptable for public consumption right now, because I've heard so many stories about Bert. When can you say it right? No one says it like you.
when you're hot, you're hot, and when you're not,
there it is.
So we're wrestling these two guys, the Young Lions.
Okay.
And we were all riding together, so we were kind of close. We met up, rode together. You know, Bert's old school, so we were there plenty early enough. There was maybe a couple fans scattered out at some point, so we park at the back of the parking lot.
Okay.
The other guys are driving, so they're going to drop us off, and they're going to come in a few minutes later.
Makes
Of course, right? Yeah. We pull up, we get out, we're almost to the door. Then they get out of the car. I guess Bert sees us that we're in the parking lot together at the same time. So he comes out. He screams at the top of his lungs, "You stupid motherfuckers!" Which none of the fans had even saw us. Because now all the fans are looking like, what's going on? So yeah, that was one of Bert's things. We're all fired from there 3 or 4 times, and then he would all bring us back. But
So when Bert says that, you knew right away, like he was talking to you guys, right?
oh yeah.
And do you say anything, or you're just like, it's Bert's Bert?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna speak ill of it.
Yeah. And you know what, Bert, one of wrestling's great characters.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now you're talking about Bert, of course, Nashville. Was there a specific company or a specific time where you started getting more flyouts and you really started? You said Crimson. You went over to Crimson promotion, but was there another time when you're like, oh wow, business is picking up a bit? It's for you guys.
Ooh. That really didn't start till after I got my foot in the door at NWA. Just when people would hit me up, and I'm thinking, man, brother, you're 8 states away, and they'd buy me plane tickets, and it's crazy, you know. You come up around here, people down the street don't want to pay you $50, but people across the country are willing to fly you out, put you up in a room, and pay you your full rate. But it says something about the cheap bastards around here in Nashville.
Watch out, Nashville. AT's coming for you. Doug was with us last night. Doug Gilbert, Dangerous Doug. Thanks everyone who tuned in. He made sure to make a note when he left. He goes, "Please tell AT I said hi. Me and Tommy worked him and Plunkett a bit."
Yeah.
So can you talk about you and Plunkett against Dangerous Doug, and there's only one Tommy Rich?
So one day, I'm scrolling to Facebook, right? And I see a match announcement. It's me and Plunkett against Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich in a stretcher match.
Oh, okay.
That was Kentucky Fair. And I'm thinking, what? I didn't sign up for that, baby. But, yeah, so me and Plunkett are in the car up there, and we're thinking, what's going to happen? I don't know. Doug's dangerous. Tommy, he's got a wild fire. So, no, it was a hell of a time, man. Those guys are great.
You didn't know that you were in a stretcher match? Seriously?
Not
It's at a-
till
It's at a Kentucky Fair. So what was the premise of this? Like, did they actually, was there stretchers involved?
there was a stretcher involved. Yes.
Okay. So explain to me, when you get to the show, what did they present you with?
They presented us with a stretcher, and told us we're having a stretcher match. I don't understand what you're not getting about this.
Kentucky Fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fair in Kentucky.
All right.
So, yeah,
What's your plan of attack?
to get them on the stretcher and push it past the white line.
I'm aware. I know how the match works. What's your and Plunky's specific plan of attack? Now you're wrestling with Doug Gilbert. Like, it's not just two jabrones here.
Who is the
There's
master of the stretcher
There's
match?
got to be some some serious conversations involved going into this.
We had an idea. We were gonna slip a Mickey in Doug's drink and knock him out beforehand, and then just jump Tommy.
With suspension.
That didn't work. His tolerance was too good. It just made him stronger.
Oh no.
The adverse effect.
So we don't have to talk about who won that match. I'm just gonna give you a hint. It wasn't me that won.
That's those Kentucky Fair stretcher matches. They've taken many a year off people's lives over the last few years.
I don't think I bumped once.
Oh, really?
I think me and Tommy fought through the crowd for 20 minutes.
Ryan, what's up? There, our boy Tom. He said, awesome to meet you at Reaper last night. Great match with Billington.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother. It was a hell of a time. Reaper's awesome. Anybody else listening, you should check it out. If you're ever in Moose Joe.
Reaper Wrestling.
Reaper Wrestling. Follow them on all the socials.
Talk about getting into the NWE. So that's when things started really clicking. Danny Deals has something to do with that too. I know that's when I first started noticing you. I didn't know how much time you had in before then. You know, you were a road warrior for a few years.
Yeah.
Can you talk about getting to the NWA and your first few tapings there?
Yeah, so we're thinking about this. I was one night, hit the Mexican joint, had a pitcher or two of margaritas in me, right? And I was watching a little Power, and I thought, you know what? I knew Crimson had a thing there. He was in charge of getting the ring crew together, so I just shot him a text. A little of that liquid encouragement in me. I was like, what's the worst that can happen? So I said, hey, what do I need to do? Can I get on the crew, help out, maybe get a shot? And he shot me back pretty quickly. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So I went down to Atlanta. I mean, I rocked the black pants and the black polo shirt, trying to help out, get a brother some coffee, set up the ring. I didn't end up wrestling that time. And they asked me to come back for the next in St. Louis at the Chase, NWA 73.
Okay.
Historic night. Trevor Murdoch beat Nick Aldis for the world's title. Sell out. All around a great experience. I'm loving all of it. I had a match with JTG on those tapings that is lost to history. I don't think it ever made air.
Oh.
I think somewhere in that they saw something in me. They kept bringing me back. They put me in a tag team with Rush Freeman, which was a nightmare because that guy's shits. Hopefully he's burned his boots by now. But yeah, somehow we phased Rush out. We brought Plunkett in. We got deals. The IB boys. We were running wild. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think just snowballed from there.
Now you talked about you brought Plunkett up being in the car with you and of course teaming with him, but you haven't had a specific memory because you guys were teaming for a while on NWA. Can you talk about you and Plunkett?
Well, I'm going to have to leave a lot of these stories out. My man Plunkett is a married man. I don't want to put his business out there in the streets.
Fair enough.
And I'm kidding if you're watching this, Mrs. Porsche. He's a saint, and he would know. Plunkett, one of the most underrated workers in the whole country. No, I'm not even going to say the South. With the whole country, the whole world. I think you put Plunkett in that ring with anybody, he's going to make them look like $1 million, which is a blessing and a curse. But, man, just a genuinely great human being. I pounded many a beers with Plunkett and Deals after some NWA tapings. Oh, I can't think of any specific stories that I can tell. One comes to mind in New York, but I'm not allowed to tell it.
Statute of limitations won't allow it yet. Yeah, I completely understand.
I want to jump in on this and tell Plunkett.
Ah, Mr. Guest, you can if you have one, please feel free.
I could gush about Plunkett with you.
Yeah,
All right.
come on. You ain't getting none of my gimmick money.
No, I understand, but I just.
Mr. Guest will stay off camera just in case.
Yeah, all right.
But this one, he may be someone you know by voice, and he's someone we could hopefully have on down the line. But Mr. Guest, if you could tell us about Plunkett.
Jeremiah Plunkett is, as Alex Taylor was saying, is number one, a wonderful human being, but number two, underrated. If you judge a book by its cover, if you're an avid watcher, just a general casual fan of professional wrestling, and you happen to turn on NWA, even for 5 seconds, and Jeremiah Plunkett is on your screen, I feel like a lot of younger audience might judge a book by its cover on this, but you don't understand the time that Jeremiah has dedicated to this business and the passion that he has for this business, not only to perform, but to teach the younger kids coming up. Like this, the generation coming up, Jeremiah Plunkett has had his hands on and bestowed his wisdom and training and time for them, and he's one of the good ones.
Oh yeah.
And I only bring this up because I think if you were to watch him, you wouldn't realize it right away. But if you pay attention, and if you're an avid watcher of professional wrestling, and you like to consider yourself somebody who pays attention to the little things, Jeremiah Plunkett is your guy, because everything he does is he maximizes his minutes. He's just a pro's pro. I have many stories and many battles with Jeremiah Plunkett, including one coming up on October 23rd.
In Hendersonville, Tennessee, the Big Fest.
And
Is that Jeff's show?
Jeff Jarrett's All Stars, 4am, extravaganza,
Ooh.
something.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. October 23rd, Hendersonville, that's up.
I will say when I first met Jeremiah Plunkett, he was somebody who I wanted to work with right away, and then got my wish. And we've had feuds that have lasted, well, for years now. So I could gush on and on, but this is not my signing. This is Alex Taylor's signing. So let's talk more about Alex Taylor.
But I appreciate you coming and stopping by, James Storm.
A match from, I think, check that out, Waylon. Thank you so much. I want to say it was NWA 74. Was it a ladder match?
Oh, geez.
Can we talk about that? Because I'm not going to lie. I thought you might have been dead when I was watching that. That was absolutely insane. Can we talk about the match? The really, really fun match. But that, of course, is the standout moment of the match.
It was a great match. Miserably Faithful. Gosh. Yeah, that was Danny Geale's last match, I believe. He choke slammed to the commentary table. Yeah, that was a match that was building up for some months. The Beelzebub Bedlam, I believe, was the name of the match, which is a strange name, but strange thoughts, I don't know. But yeah, a ladder got involved, and I thought I'd climb to the top of that ladder, and Sal thought he would superplex me off that ladder. I guess we didn't account for the ladder tipping backwards when we decided to go, and there was a few seconds I had to wiggle my toes to make sure I could still feel them, but yeah, it was scary. I landed in the ring though, because I'm a true professional. And hit a perfect moonsault on the set.
What are your memories of the Chase? Because that's such a cool venue. You know, so much history there, and it was cool when the NWA was running there.
I absolutely love the Chase. Probably the best venue I've ever been in, because
Wow.
if I'm wrestling second, third, I can sneak out and go back up to my hotel room and shower and be back down before anybody knew I was gone. You don't even have to leave. Now, why would you want to leave? Because St. Louis sucks. So we stay right there in the Chase.
Well, I was going to go down one of those weekends to do a bunch of signings based on the Chase, and then I saw the hotel room cost, and I'm like, ooh wee, that's gonna put a dent in my expenses. So I would have not doing that. But it's a beautiful hotel, and yeah, top notch. I hope they go back there. I'll find a way to make it work.
I would love that.
Talk about the Southern Six now. The formation. We had Kerry tell his version of what happened on a few nights ago. He cleaned it up. He didn't tell everything.
I don't want to know his story.
Talk about Australia, and it was the formation of the Southern Six, and then maybe when you guys realized that it was clicking, because it's obvious to everyone, you know, that there's something there.
Man, yeah, Australia, that whole trip, I think, changed the trajectory of my career in the NWA. I don't know how Billy Corgan viewed me before that. I think I was just a guy there. But after that tour, he saw me as something else, which is great. I ended up, you can see my collarbone sticking out right here. About halfway through that tour, I tore my AC joint and some other stuff, so I only wrestled half the tour, but the other half of the tour, I was on a stick for the boys, letting them damn Aussies know what we were there to do. But yeah, we got there. I think it was Thrillbilly who said, "What are the odds? You know, there's 3 of us Tennessee boys here, halfway around the world, getting paid to wrestle. How cool is this?" And the Southern Six, I can tell you how we came up with the name, but I have to kill you. Yeah, it's just we've been clicking ever since. It just feels natural to us. It's not something you can, somebody in a writing room can make up, or it's just natural.
Now, who was the first person to tell you guys there was a Freebirds vibe there? Was there anyone that told you that right away? Did you guys realize that? Because
I mean, I think we always realized it. I see it all the time. Douchebags in the comments be like, the Timu Freebirds.
oh, really? See, that's a compliment though. It's
Yeah,
like not the Timu.
Yeah.
I don't know why someone would say that. I mean,
I don't. People, I don't want to go off on that. Somebody tried to insult me by calling me the Buddy Roberts of the group, and I was like, "You don't know anything about wrestling."
Buddy Roberts is the man.
If you think comparing me to Buddy Roberts is an insult.
Yeah, well, that person is an idiot. Exactly.
Yeah, but no, yeah, we love the Freebirds.
Yeah,
we
how
love
could you not? Yeah.
We love the Midnight Express. We love the Rocket Express. All that old school stuff, man. That's our jam, and that's what we want to bring back.
Well, you guys, I was saying with Carrie that night, you guys, and then I feel like Pretty Empowered too, they were like NWA homegrowns that were young talent that hadn't been seen on the national level before, kind of gave and, you know, obviously there was vets and, you know, other guys, but, you know, kind of gave the NWA like a different shine on it, I always thought, you know. Did NWA higher-ups know right away that you guys had something, whether it was in-ring, on the stick?
I think so. I think as soon as we got back from that tour, I mean, we were immediately together on TV. So I think the first, it was kind of weird though, because I had Deals with me. It was my manager. I love Deals. I never wanted to get away from him, but he's doing better things, doing commentary now. I think they already split me and Plunkett apart as a tag team. Yeah, I think we'd always merged together on TV one day. I don't even know if there was an explanation. One wasn't needed.
Sometimes you don't need explanation. Now, outside of, you know, the matches and the formation of Southern Six, what did you think of Australia? What's how beautiful it is? You guys were over there a while. You know, was it cool to see a good part of Australia?
We were there for about 3 weeks. Yeah, I loved it. I want to go back. I'm trying to go back. If anybody in here is promoting Australia, hit up the boys. But yeah, Sydney was awesome to see the Opera House. I mean, most photographed building in the world. All the cities. Brisbane was amazing. The fans were awesome there. Because we're wrestling at Smashing Pumpkins concerts, so it's not mostly wrestling fans. It's just people there to see a concert, but then you make them watch you.
Yeah. And there's crossover. I feel like you go to a rock concert, you know, you're feeling a certain way, whether it's aggression, you're having a couple of drinks, and if you find out wrestling's there, yeah, where is it? I'm going to go watch it.
Yeah.
Now, what have been some of your favorite matches, Southern Six related, over the last couple of years? You know, whether it's single, because we're talking about the junior heavyweight title win, but, you know, just standout matches that you really enjoyed.
We did a 6-man tag in, I believe, Huntsville, Alabama. Another one of those Smashing Pumpkins tours, and it was outside amphitheater. The match starts, the rain comes. We're wrestling the Kazanas and Colby Carino, that scumbag Colby Carino trying to steal my look. You can't look like me, baby. But yeah, that's a fun memory of us. So I've seen the footage back, and match is going, and the rain starts pouring, and we keep going. That one stands out to me. Me and Thrillbilly did a tour of England this year in February, March, somewhere in there. And one of the towns, some guy didn't make it or something changed, so they needed me and Thrillbilly to wrestle each other. Now, normally we wouldn't do that, but we're all about the competition, baby. So we went out there. Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. You're right. And one of my favorite matches of the year was me versus Thrillbilly. So, Thrilly, whenever you're ready, baby.
Brothers fight sometimes.
Hey, you want to drop a few pounds, challenge me for the World Junior Heavyweight title.
Oh, now you just made it official. But what's the official weight limit?
225.
Ooh, Throwbilly, you heard it here first. You get under 225. Talk about NWA World NWA Junior Heavyweight Champ. You know, the title reign right now. How many days are we at?
Oh,
A lot.
a lot. The longest reign of the last 20 years. I know that.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
I'm coming for Danny Hodges' record. It's also a lot. I couldn't think of something, but it's in the years range. 1,500 something days.
Is it?
Whoa. Ain't that impressive?
No, if Danny Hodge was here, you'd stretch him.
Well, yeah.
I'll say that. I'm just kidding, Mr. Hodges family.
Crushing applesauce in my hand.
Now, what were some of the matches you enjoyed during your historic, like you said, longest 20 years title reign?
Right. I defended the title against a guy named Tommy Freeman in Wales. That was awesome. He's a great talent in the UK. Let me think about this. Gathering of the Juggalos. Gathering of the Juggalos. I defended the title against Crazy Steve. Crazy Steve is crazy. Let me tell you. This brother, I don't even want to tell you stories about him because it involves our other friend who I would get in trouble with. But yes, and I don't understand if I can talk about this because of our TV schedule, but I have or I am wrestling Rich Swann in New York, depending on what timeline you're in. And I think that's going to be an awesome match.
The metaverse, right? You have to find, yeah. I heard it will be an awesome match.
Yes. A great match with Jack Cartwheel in Tampa. That one was cool. That one ended up being in the studios instead of, because it was supposed to be in a bigger building, but hurricanes hit Florida because hurricanes hit Florida. So we ended up moving our big show to our studio. Still a great match, still a lot of fun, but I wish it could have been in front of a huge crowd. That's the only regret I have about that match. Oh, and I could probably go for days when I sit here and think about matches, yeah. But honestly, I don't care about giving good matches. I care about pinning shoulders to the neck.
Yeah.
And getting paid.
And it's actually great timing, too, because that Crockett Cup, won by so many legendary teams, legendary talents. You and Kerry winning the Crockett Cup in 2024.
Forever.
Part of history.
Forever. You can never take that away from us.
Can you talk about that night?
That night was insane. We wrestled the Kazanas first in the first round. So, yeah, the Kazanas in the first round. I mean, we steamrolled them, baby, you know. Me and Kerry got the victory. Then we wrestled Knox and Murdoch. Them boys ain't known for being lights. Then we made it to the finals against the Immortals. And them some big old boys. I tell you, that night was one of the highest highs I've ever felt in this business. But that next day, baby, I felt like I was in a car crash.
Oh.
How long did you have in between matches?
30 minutes.
Really?
Maybe 20.
So you did 3 matches, and did you walk into the building knowing that you were wrestling, or did you not know until the day of?
I didn't know that I was in the tournament until I got to the building that day.
Okay.
I was originally scheduled to have a match for the NWA World Junior Heavyweight title.
Oh, wow.
So,
and then that went from 1 to 3 matches.
Yep. So I said, you know what? I'll go get that World Junior Heavyweight title at a later date. My team needs me.
Right.
And we made history. Crockett Cup. I mean, Jesus. Dusty, the Road Warriors. So many.
When you put that in perspective, what would that sound like to 6-year-old Alex? If you were to tell him that, 10-year-old Alex, if you were to say one day your name was going to be with these, like, what would 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 12-year-old Alex, what would he say?
He'd say, sounds about right. I guess you didn't stick to being an astronaut. You went with wrestling. I love it. Good decision. He would have said, well, you're hot. You're hot.
What are some of your favorite cities that you've been able to suit up in, with the NWA?
I always enjoy when we go to Texas. Texas is nice. I don't know if it's not a city, that's a big place, but St. Louis, I know I said bad things about it earlier, but the chase itself just makes me love St. Louis. Florida's, I mean, there's not really a bad city. Dothan, the travel situation there is kind of sucks, but other than that, it's a nice town too. Yeah, I don't know if one sticks out more than the other. I think the chase is the holy grail of wrestling venues.
You brought up Dothan, and I'm going to ask you, because at March, I got the last rental car from Atlanta to Dothan, and it happened to be a hybrid. Well, guess what? It couldn't get my ass to Dothan. So I had to pull over. I've never driven a hybrid in my life. I had to find a place to charge this hybrid somewhere in Alabama, and I charged it for about 2 hours. It was not one of those fast charging like hybrid gimmicks. Charged it for 2 hours. It gave me another 60 miles to get to Dothan, and then I was at a hotel that had the free hook up there. But you said travel wasn't easy, so that means, what was your travel like in that particular weekend?
I mean, that one, that was flights in Panama City.
Oh, that's closer than Atlanta?
Yeah. It's still like an hour and a half drive. I'm not sure how far Atlanta is, but
I think it was about three and a half.
yeah. So yeah. So it's better than doing that.
Yeah.
That's always a pain. Get a flight and then in a car for hours or multiple hours after that. But hey, I mean, we have a great job, so I'm not going to be the guy here complaining.
Comes with the territory.
It's better than sitting in a cubicle or delivering pizzas. But I've done those things, so.
Tracy's mother used to deliver pizzas, and he would tell me stories about how they would, these gang members would literally call up the pizza shop and be like, we need 3 or 4 pizzas. Have the wrestler bring them. And Tracy would roll up with 4 pizzas, and he'd chill with them for 3 hours. They'd give him a very nice tip. And where the pizza owners knew that when Tracy was leaving to deliver a pizza, he wouldn't be back for a few hours. So shout out to the late, great Tracy Smothers. Now, just playing that NWA name game over there, what talked about the ill-begotten Sandow, Aaron Stevens. You have an Aaron Stevens memory or a story you'd be able to share with us?
He's a very wise man. He's always giving out advice. That brother, he's got a lot up here. And I remember watching it back in the day.
Sure.
Even back then, I was like, this is one of those guys. I think we all had that guy when we watched wrestling when we were younger. Like, he may have not been the main guy, but you're like, that's my guy. And he was one of those guys for me. And for him to be around now and just giving all this wisdom, he's a great asset to the NWA. But if BFT ever gets in the way of the Southern Six, all bets are off.
And that's fair. Now, we talked about application. Jamie Stanley's application at Ill-Begotten was never processed. But if there had to be a 4th member of the Southern Six, or an honorary member of the Southern Six, who's someone that you think might fit in well with you, Thrillbilly, and Kerry?
I think Jeremiah Plunkett is cut in the same cloth as us. I think he could hang.
Thank you.
That's a good question. I mean, the Page sisters always have an open invite to hang with the Southern Six, but I don't think they like us.
Sure.
But other than that, I don't think anybody else is qualified.
Okay.
Also, I mean, Danny Geale's always an honorary member.
Absolutely.
Even though he's from Cleveland, Ohio, I think he's from the south side of Cleveland, Ohio.
Well, that is good. And actually, Southern Six, even with the Patriots, is all Tennessee, right?
Oh, yeah.
Other than Danny.
Yep.
So that says something right there. What do you think of the Titans this year?
Oh man, you got another hour right? It's rough. It's not looking good. It's all been downhill since we traded AJ Brown. They fired Mike Vrabel for this, for no win. I like
Vrabel. What would you like Vrabel?
I love Mike Vrabel, and the ownership of the Titans sucks. I don't know the solution. Smarter people than me should be making these decisions, and they're not making them. So it's frustrating.
You know what? I feel a handful of years ago, they were in the running for AFC Championship, making the playoffs consistently, winning the games.
Seed.
Yeah, I mean, guess right. They got to buy.
Yep.
Was that the year they lost to Baltimore? Was it? Or
The year they lost to the Bengals. Yeah, I had to go through that pick and triple coverage.
Harvard grad.
Why are we talking about these sacks?
I know. We watched the Vandy game earlier, so yeah, I know.
It's been a rough football time for me right now.
For Nash, we got another NWA. The request is over here. NWA Junior Champ, Southern 6. Boom. Now, you spent the better part of what, about 4 years with the NWA so far? 3-4 years?
Yeah, about 3.5 years now.
What matches are you looking forward to? Do you want, whether for the junior title, tag titles? Do you see that's like, I want to get in the ring with that guy?
Well, I think it's long overdue that me and Kerry get that shot at the World Tag Team titles. But looking beyond that, I can see that World Television title coming home to Big AT too. My bag's already pretty heavy, but I'll get another bag. I'll carry 2 bags. It's time to bring that title back in relevancy. It's been being carried around by some jabronis for far too long. But any specific person, nah. As long as the check clears and the beer's on ice after the match, I don't mind, baby.
Now, AT, it was great having you on. We had such a great time. Definitely look forward to having you back on. Maybe with Kerry, maybe with Thrubilly, maybe again by yourself, maybe with a special guest, but definitely would love having you back. What's something you want to say to everyone that's tuned in the last hour plus and, had a little fun with you on this Saturday night?
I appreciate you guys. I know people say it all the time, and it sounds kind of corny, but I couldn't get to do this stupid job if it wasn't for you. And I appreciate all the times you come out. Everybody supports NWA. When I show up in some random town that I think no one's going to know who I am, and they start chanting too hot, that's what it's all about, baby. And I'm still going to be NWA World Junior Heavyweight Champion.
That's right.
Till the day I die.
We've had a lot of people on this weekend, but only one world champ, and that's the man in front of you right now. Guys, thank you for keeping the Captain's Corner boat fueled and filled as we journey all over the country. As a reminder, in 3 weeks, we're running Orlando, Tampa, Florida, Glory Days, GrappleCon, Tito Santana, Ted DiBiase, Barry Windham, Bruce Beefcake, so many other legends. Dory Funk Jr.'s last signing in the state of Florida. Make sure to head Tickettree now, and we'll be back with a bunch of virtual signings in the next few weeks. But we're going to end this one the way we end all of our virtual signings, AT, and that is cheers to the working man.
Cheers, Daddy. Wish I had a beard.